Okay, students. So in continuation with our last lecture. So in last lecture we have seen up to page number 14. So we'll continue with 15. So today we'll be discussing what are the different types of relay we have, or different construction features, something related to that, some basic informations about relay constructions and different types of relays. So if we talk about relay, before going to relay, the first protection device that came is fuse, and which is still working in our normal household. In small transformers we are still using it. So fuses are the oldest protected devices. So what does fuse do? It allows normal currents through it, but it breaks the circuit by melting whenever the current exceeds a certain threshold for a particular period of time. Suppose it is a 5 ampere fuse. So if you are giving more than 5 ampere current, so the fuse will melt and it will break the circuit. So here you can see all these portions, sensing, comparing and interrupting, all these are in single fuse itself. The fuse itself is sensing how much current is going through it. Fuse itself is comparing with its value. I am for 5 ampere but it is 6, and then it is interrupting from its own, so I should melt. First is sense, okay, I am passing 6 ampere, then it is comparing, oh, I was made for 5. Now 6 ampere is going through it, so I should interrupt, so it's melting. So everything is given in that simple fuse, all these operations. But in relay senses, the sensing is through CTPT, then comparing is done in relay, then interruption is done with circuit breaker. All are different portions in normal protection system. But in fuse, all these are given in the single element. So in fuse, what is our natural thinking? What should be the fusing time with respect to current? So if you increase current, as the current will increase, suppose through a 5 ampere fuse, you are flowing 10 ampere current, then the time it takes to melt, if you pass 100 ampere, it will be very fast, it will melt very fast. So you can see the curve. This is the curve, asymptotic curve. So if you increase current, your fusing time is decreasing. You are going more this side and it is reducing. So this is the rated current at which it was never, the fusing time was infinity. It will not go out. Fusing time means melting time after interruption time. So as we proceed, it becomes very less. So this fits with our normal protection phenomena. What is our normal protection philosophy? Protection philosophy is that more severe the fault, more fast it should be cleared. So fuse fits with this philosophy. So this curve fits with our protection philosophy. So next thing that comes after fuse is thermal relay. What is thermal relay? Thermal relay is bimetallic strips they use, two different types of bimetallic strip, where strain is generated. How? If we pass current through it, then it will be heated, and with that heat, it bends, or strain is generated. So here two metallic strips that they have used. One is of higher coefficient, one is of lower coefficient. One will bend more, one will bend less. So it is given here, the drawing I have given. First let us see this one. With the principle of strain generated by unequal linear expansion of two different metal result of heat generated by the passage of fall current. If you give more fall current, more heat, more strain, more bend it will be. The material with higher coefficient is given in the outer surface and the lower coefficient is the inner surface. This will be clear once you see the figure. Since it depends on the accumulation of, it depends on the sufficient accumulation of heat. If more sufficient is there, it will not bend as much as is required. So it will take some time. It will depend on thermal inertia of the relay. So it will not be very quick operation. So that's why it should not be used where you need a quick operation. So if you see the drawing, you can see it. Here you can see. This is your normal operation. This is your when it is stripping. The AB, there is a AB metallic, there is a CD metallic strip. AB is of higher coefficient, CD is of lower coefficient, and your current is passed through this coil. So once this current raises a certain limit, it will get heated, the coil will generate heat, and then it will bend. If it's bent, then this trip circuit, if it's bent, then it will move up, then it will trip circuit will touch each other. You can see here in the next drawing itself. Here you can see. This is also get bended, this is bended, so that's why this circuit trip. They contact, they touches each other. So you can see the lower one is bending high and the smaller one is bending low. That's why the lower one is of higher coefficient and the smaller one and the upper one is of lower coefficient. So this was the idea of thermal relay. Next topic is electromagnetic relay. How does it operate? So let's understand it very clearly. So this is the basic relay which was used to be in earlier days. So let's consider, and that philosophy is incorporated in new versions of the relays. So what is there? It's a induction. I have taken a induction based electromagnetic relay for just understanding. There are different types of relays. The operating torque is produced by the square of the current. We will see how it is after the derivation. But the problem here is this square, this relation between operating torque and the current, it is I square. Okay, but after a certain time, after saturation achieved, that in electromagnetic relay also there will be saturation like in CT, because it all depends on magnetic flux and that depends on the material. So after some time it will saturate. If it saturates, then your operating torque is not directly proportional. So that becomes a limitations of your electromagnetic relay. So this torque doesn't increase much after the saturation. For a certain period of time it is okay, but once saturation is reached, so the torque will not be increasing as I square. So what is happening here is two alternating flux are induced. Let me show you the figure first, then you will understand this one. This is the figure. First let me explain this one. Suppose this is an aluminum disc with you, a simple aluminum disc, this one, a portion of aluminum disc which is metallic but not magnet. Now we have given two fluxes here, two alternating fluxes, phi 1 and phi 2, but there is a phase difference between phi 1 and phi 2. So now how this, so due to this flux flowing through disc, ED current will be producing. So let us draw it in a single blank sheet. Let me draw it from sketch, then you will understand it. Let me draw it here, that will make more sense. So if a flux is flowing through this, so this was my disc, I am not drawing it. Okay, suppose this is my the aluminum disc. So if you are passing a flux phi 1, let's suppose through here, so how the eddy current will flow through it? The eddy current will flow through it, and what will be the direction? You can remember this right hand thumb rule, right hand thumb rule. So how you will do it? So we will do it normally. If you bend your fingers, all your fingers in the direction of I, this thumb represent your flux. So this eddy current will be such that that flux should oppose your phi 1. So it should oppose this one. The current will produce in such a way so that the flux coming out of eddy current should oppose the cause of it. That is Lenz's law, mother killer we say. It will kill its own mother, that is from where it's generated. So it's generated through phi 1, so it will produce a phi in a direction so that it kills the phi 1 that is coming from upside down. So it will be upward direction. So the current should be in this direction. So this is the current direction, you can see. So this will be the current direction I want. Similarly, for suppose another flux is going through it, phi 2. So again, what will be the direction? You can see. Again, this will be the direction. So this is my I2. So this is I1. Now you are getting it? Okay, once you got it, so this I2, so I2 will be in this way. So some I2 will also go through this flux line, touching this flux line. So here is I2 is flowing. Let me draw it one more time, otherwise it will be. Suppose this time I am not drawing your aluminum disc. You can understand there is a disc. So this is phi 1 and some current across it, ED current is flowing due to it. This is my phi 1, so this is my I1, and there is another phi 2. For this also one ED current is flowing, which is I2. So one I2 will be, there will be lots of circle like this. So one circle will be touching this one also. So this is your I2. So here you can see at this position, your current I2 is in that direction, in this direction. Your phi 1 is coming from upside down. So a current is placed in a magnetic field, it will experience a force. So it will be Fleming's left hand rule. What will be Fleming's left hand rule? If you see, Fleming's left hand rule will be this. You can remember this. So this is your field. So it will be upside down, and the current is towards me. It is coming out of the sheet. So the force will be towards my thumb. You can see it, my finger, I think. So you can, the thumb will be your force. So this is the force. So one force will be here. Similarly, if you see for I1, one portion of I1 will also touch your phi 2. So here also some force will produce. Here I2 is coming outwards, again same. So I2 outwards, and then so if you do it, so you will find it now that force is going through this side. Sorry, I1 is going. I have this is not I1. So I1 is going in this direction. As you can see, your I1. This is your I1. So here I1 is going in this way. So again your left hand rule. This is your field. This is your I1. So I1 going inside the paper now. And so this will be the force. So you can see new force. So these forces are opposite to each other. So the net force will be the difference of these two. This is the force that is applied on the discs. So if you can calculate, now you understand this one. Now if you will go to the figure, you will understand what is happening now. Now it will be little bit clear to you. Now you can see it. The names are different, phi 2, phi 1. You can understand it. That's why they have F1, F2, they all are different. You can see here. There are names I have taken this one, this one, 2. So this is reversed. So it is F1, F2. Now you can understand how this. So the net force will be the difference of this. Now let us derive this force. What will be the expression of this, on what parameters it is depending? Let us see. So the operating disc is metallic and non-magnetic. Aluminum disc with two forces acting on it with a phase shift of, two fluxes are acting on it with a phase shift of theta with respect to time. By Lenz's law, the flux due to this eddy current should oppose the actual flux. So the eddy current interacts with the two other flux, resulting in operating force that we have discussed by Fleming's left hand rule. So let phi 1 is equal to, let me zoom it. Let phi 1 is equal to phi m1 sin omega t, and then phi 2 is equal to some shift I have taken, this one, and this is the shift theta. There is a change. How we will change it, that we will see in the construction when we will come IDMT relay induction, inverse definite minimum time overcurrent relay. In the overcurrent relay chapter, we will see that one. For now just you remember there is a difference between phi 1 and phi 2. That difference flux phase shift is given by theta. Both are taken sinusoidal because we will be applying AC supply. It will be sensing AC supply, my CT, AC current it will give. So this flux will induce a voltage, and due to this voltage, ED current will be induced. So that voltage will be d phi by dt, and I will be directly proportional to V. V is equal to IR. It will depends on the path through which ED current is flowing, what is the reactor. So I am not interested to actual expression. Just I am considering that on what parameter I phi 1 and I phi 2, those two currents I1, I2 are depending. So I1 will be depending on the voltage due to this. I2 will be depending voltage. So if you take differentiation, sine differentiation is cos, sine differentiation is cos, and omega is by chain rule it is coming out. So now what will be the resultant force? Now if you see the force F1 and F2, so this force is depending on phi 1 and I. More phi, more force, more I, more force. So if you multiply this one, phi 1 and I phi 2 from the upside, if you can take this one, this is your phi 1 is already phi m1 sin omega t, and phi 2 is this one. cos omega t, this one. So everything I put here, same here, f1 and f2. So if you find the difference between these two, if you find the difference between the f1 minus f2 minus f1, if you take this common, then if you apply some trigonometry, I think you can do it. Sin a cos b minus cos a sin b, sin a minus b. If you do sin a minus b, then omega t plus phi minus omega t would get cancelled. You will find only theta. So you can see the expression. This is the net force that is applying on the disc. So it is independent of time. So it is fixed. It will not depend on time. So if you fix your phi 1 and phi 2, phi 1 and phi 2 will depend on the CT current. So it is fixed. Your frequency is also fixed. Phase shift is also fixed. How much phase shifting you are given, 30 degrees, 60 degrees, that is also fixed. So a fixed force is always applied on the disc. So the disc can rotate. And it will be maximum when theta is equal to 90. If you want to make it more torque, then you have to increase the theta. And these two current, phi m1 and phi m2, both the fluxes are produced by same current, but they are phase shifted using some technique. So as these fluxes are directly proportional, they are coming from same current, so you can see your force will be directly proportional to phi. This is from I1, this is also from I, both are same current, so your force will be directly proportional to I square. That's what we are talking about in the beginning. You can see this, that figure we have already discussed. So you can see the force is directly proportional to I square. So that's all about how electromagnetic relay, that force is created using that current of the CT, so that it rotates. If it rotates, then it will hit something. If it hits something, then it will touch the contact, it will give the trip signal. Now what are the different other types of relay? I am not going in details of other types of relay, just an introduction I have given, because it will take, right now we can't discuss it before discussing other things. So what is static relay? Static relay is, there is no moving part. From the name itself you can see there is no moving part. It depends on the comparison of the signal, depends on comparators, and it actually performs numerical computation. Where is mechanical, there is no numerical computation. If the current is more, the disc will rotate more, it will hit it, that's it, no computation is there. But here computation starts. So with the evolve of the power electronics device, that is your diode, transistor, FETs, it was becoming possible to actually numerically calculate the calculations inside that. So more advanced version is now, next is, so after that next is microprocessor based relay. What is done here? The CT and the PT, the voltage they have given, you convert it into digital form and then do the processing in the microprocessor. So it becomes more advanced, and the latest advanced next is the numerical relay. Numerical relay is the more advanced in the digital relay, that is in microprocessor based relay, more advancement. With the advent of numerical relay, now the emphasis has been shifted from the software, because the hardware remains same. If you check one numerical relay to other, the hardware remains same. The thing that you are changing is the software, that is the logic inside it, that's it. So I think that's all for relay, basic types of relay or basic constructions of relay. Next day we will start with the protection of transmission line. We will start with first overcurrent relay, then we will proceed. So those who have, again I am requesting you, those who have not subscribed, kindly subscribe the channel and tell your friends. Till then, stay safe, stay home.